set of amendments is the way that we're treating emissions-intensive trade-exposed manufacturers. And we've talked about this before. One of the dangers of carbon pricing, if it's done wrong, is that it can put manufacturers in a position where they're going to see their costs rise and they're very trade exposed, and it causes them to decide to leave the state, move to another state or country, and emit there. That does not help when you're dealing with a global problem like global climate change. We want to keep them here. I mean, obviously we want to keep them here because they provide good jobs and are pillars of our communities, but also just from an environmental perspective, better to keep them here, get them under the program, and give them, a slow, steady path to becoming more efficient and reducing their emissions. And I think that we are definitely getting there in this set of amendments. I mean, I will say that we also heard from some people testifying that we shouldn't be concerned about easing that path. What's most important is to get industry to reduce their emissions immediately, and we are facing an immediate problem. They have to take quick action, and we respect that, but we also we don't want to put these businesses out of business, and so what we are doing initially is we are going to be offering qualifying manufacturers, that is those that through our third-party study that we already did, they were identified as emissions intensive and trade exposed. They'll get 95% of their allowances for free directly initially. That was 100% in the earlier version. We've come down a little, but what we are doing is we're also connecting their allowances to where they are in terms of their emissions reduction technologies.
And so I think we've been assuming that you all know what EITEs are and what these categories are. They are called out in the bill by business code, but these are our largest industries emitting more than 25,000 tons of carbon. And we've had a number of them come in and talk to us about the fact that where it's been technologically or financially feasible for them already, they are already working to reduce their emissions and move towards more energy efficient practices, because that makes good business sense. The gap that they have been unable to reach is either where that technology doesn't yet exist or it's not cost effective for them. So we are, by developing a best available technology standard that we're going to be encouraging them to move towards in order to receive those direct allowances, really helping to accommodate their specific business limitations they may have by sector. We expect to see commonalities by sector, because you would imagine with the same manufacturing processes, you'll see either the technology exists or it doesn't yet. But trying to create a standard by which everybody moves to the best available technology. In exchange, you'll be receiving direct allowances, and where you don't yet, we will be setting aside some of those proceeds from the sector to help their compatriots and other businesses move towards that best available technology. So I think closing the loop with some of them, and that is part of the reason why we brought down the number of direct allowances to 95%. We do need to create a fund to help them move towards more energy efficient practices and encourage them to use best practices along the way, while being mindful that they are some of our great name employers. And something we heard along the way was that workers are really proud to have good jobs through them. They often are union jobs and are great family wage jobs. And so this particular amendment, I think, here's those statements, here's the concerns raised, and reflects that, and also holds us to the emissions reductions that we know we need to go to in order to fight climate change.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we heard in all of these public hearings was a lot of fear. And actually, some of the individuals who came to testify observed that. They said, we're hearing a lot of fear. On the one hand, fear about the consequences of climate change, concern about what people are seeing now in terms of smoke and fire and flooding, et cetera, is going to get worse and worse and worse. We heard that loud and clear. But we also heard fear from employees who are concerned about losing their jobs, losing their ability to provide for their family. And, I told those individuals, we hear you, and we are taking steps to alleviate your fear. And I believe that when the changes that we are proposing here in the -31s are known and understood, then a lot of that fear is going to be alleviated.
Yeah, so I think to my co-chair's point, let's touch on the removal of exemptions and some of the wildfire prevention. I think our work around